This is it, ladies and gentlemen, the deciding game of the World Series. The Yankees with Murderers Row coming up, 1 run behind. The Cardinals' hopes riding on the pitching arm and the fighting heart of one man, Alex the Great. Here's the windup.
And here comes the first pitch.
Yes, the pitch. The pitch for the warmest, most wonderful, most human story ever told. The true story of Grover Cleveland Alexander and the woman who shared all the adventures of his fabulous career, from the color and excitement of his rookie days to that unforgettable afternoon when millions cheered his name to everlasting glory. But the cheers belonged to her, for she was the strength behind his every pitch. She was the light in his darkest hours. Hers was the love that gave him the courage to win his greatest victories. Theirs was the unbeatable combination that made the winning team.
Eddie, what I tell you, he's a has-been.
What do you think he can do with Lazzeri?
There don't seem to be any room left for him on the bases.
Play ball!
Mr. Baseball Show. I am John Weeks, also known as Mr. Baseball, along with my cohort here, John Hopwood.
Speaking of the winning team,
We're going to throw some baseballs at you today.
you forgot Peter.
Peter is going to be on, yes. We always welcome Peter. He's a great guest.
Peter, what are you up to right now?
I'm just sitting in front of MSNBC and just doing nothing, basically.
You're following the Stormy Daniels story?
Oh, yeah, I love that woman.
How many balls and strikes do you think that the president has on him now?
Yeah, he's definitely facing 0-2 with Randy Johnson on the mound, bearing down on him.
Wow. I like the story by the Playmate better. But let's get back to Mr. John Weeks, since this is his show. John, by the way, just an aside, how are things going at the North End Bistro, where you're the bartender?
Fantastic, fantastic. We have, the business is just astounding. We have a great chef, Andy, who's well known in New England and New York. He's worked some of the top restaurants around, and things are going great. You go once, you're coming back. Plenty of parking. Got a whole parking.
Well, you're at Myrtle and Elm?
Myrtle and Elm. That whole parking lot is ours for the use. And in the back and in the front, if you can find it, plenty. We're doing well.
So do you ever when you're attending bar, is the baseball show, the Mr. Baseball Show, ever on the TV over the bar?
Yes, last week we watched it.
Is that the one where we were harassing you over the 1960 World Series?
Probably.
Where Casey Stengel pitched Whitey Ford in the third game because he had a 12-9 record, but that's for another show.
12-9 record. He had a 25-4 record.
He was 12-9 that year.
Who?
Whitey Ford was 12-9.
He was not.
Do you want to bet?
Yes.
How much? Wouldn't be fair because I looked it up before he came. He was 12-9.
That's 1960?
Yes. That's why he had an off year that year.
Oh.
That he pitched the 2 shutouts.
I don't know, man. You want to tread lightly there. Because I think Mr. Weeks knows Whitey better than most folks.
It's Mr. Baseball, and I looked it up today, so.
Oh, that would shock the dickens out of me.
But you know, I'm not going to bet you because I already know it. But I was talking to Peter Stiller early today, the journalist Peter Stiller, and Fangraphs, which is one of these baseball statistics and forecasting. I wouldn't call them a service or a website. with some seam heads.
It's one of the it's there with the top websites.
Right.
That and Baseball Prospectus
Yeah.
are certainly the leaders in internet baseball services.
prognostications, and they say that the New York Yankees has the second best pitching in Major League Baseball, which I think is just a bunch of the old bully, bull, expletive deleted.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe
Discuss.
too. But we were dealt a big blow. Did you know what that is?
Stormy Daniels has decided to take her act to the Bronx.
No. Greg Bird.
What happened?
Yeah, he got a boo-boo.
Operation on his leg. He's out indefinitely.
Holy smoke!
And I was so high on that kid. Oh, my goodness. It's just kind of ruined my spring already. But it happens to all teams, so got to live with it. So I guess they're going to try to re-sign Adam Lind, whom they let go about 2 weeks ago, and get his bat. They call it a power bat. I saw him play here in Manchester. I don't think of him much as a power hitter.
We
but
like to call Manchester the Queen City on any
the
show.
Queen City.
Remember, he used to be on the Queen City Chronicles.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah.
My sole guest for like 6 months.
Anyway,
Maybe
Peter.
the Yankees can swing a deal for Hanley Ramirez to play first base for him.
Yeah, there you go. That would be something.
Jeez, well, his what he makes isn't all that outlandish these days.
No. They could maybe put Jacoby Ellsbury there and use him for something. At any
They
rate,
haven't taken Ellsbury out behind the dumpster in the Bronx.
they haven't
and
shot him. No, they haven't. Peter, the season
I
starts.
hear his disappearance is rivaling that of Judge Creators.
Peter, the season starts in 2 days. Any
It
thoughts?
does.
Any thoughts? Any changes
Any
in your
thoughts?
thinking?
Well, my thoughts have not, evolved significantly over the last few weeks as far as the AL East goes. As far as, the rest of Major League Baseball, I think we're going to see a repeat in most of the other divisions of last year's winner. And I think this points to what the Fangraphs thing that Mr. Hopwood was referencing earlier, that there's a lot of there's not a lot of social mobility in Major League Baseball these days. It seems like
The teams that are already established are going to
baseball
win.
is having sort of the same problem that the NBA is having, though not nearly to the same extent as the NBA as far as teams just tanking. But I think a lot of teams are seeing what the Houston Astros have done since 2012, where they just completely stripped themselves bare, lost well over 100 games for a couple years,
Absolutely.
and then were able to build a juggernaut.
Yeah.
And so I think that in MLB we have a lot of teams that are currently the haves and a lot of other teams that are nowhere near there because they're not even trying to contend for, the foreseeable future, at least this year and maybe next year too.
Right. I think the Astros are one of the teams that I think could repeat.
Could repeat. The Fangraphics has them as 11. They're going to win their division by 11,
Well,
which they did before.
Well, I think that it's hard to repeat as world champions, and I think
Cleveland and the Dodgers.
I think they're
are.
stronger than last year. When they,
Oh, you said division.
Well, they're going to win the division.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think the Astros, it's hard to imagine them not winning the AL West. And, once you get to the postseason, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. In that way, I agree with Mr. Baseball. It is hard to repeat, but they're certainly in a position where they're going to be there, and we'll see what happens then.
Right.
Fangraphics has the Astros starting rotation as the top starting rotation in MLB.
I believe that. They picked up that Cole from Pittsburgh, he's going to be right in the middle of the rotation. He's good enough to be the second or
and
third
I have
starter.
a feeling that Justin Verlander is just going to like have a real. You don't even want to call it a bounce back year because he was good last year, but I think he's going to kind of have almost a resurgence of his early years with the Tigers, where he was a Cy Young candidate year in and year out. The Astros are definitely on paper, as they say, the best team in baseball.
Right.
But, we'll see what happens when the games are played.
Yeah.
Fangraphics also says Houston is having the best bullpen in the major leagues.
I don't doubt that.
Now, I got it wrong. The New York Yankees. I don't know. The article that I sent Peter said the Yankees were second, but they have them as the seventh best overall starting rotation in MLB.
Oh, that makes more sense.
And the third best in the AL, before Boston, but after Houston and Cleveland.
Before Boston?
Yeah, for some reason.
Wow.
Is that the starting rotation or the entire staff?
Probably starting.
The starting rotation. Now, what they do is they project the wins above replacement of a player.
Right.
And that's how they rank it. So they're saying that the Yankees, compared to Boston, have pitchers that will have slightly better years overall. And then the aggregate, they're saying they're ranking it by the quality, the projected quality of the pitchers. That doesn't necessarily mean, what is it? Lefty Carlton went, 27-9?
Yeah.
And then the next year he goes 13-20, right?
Yeah.
And he's not. I think he's a quality pitcher both years when you're projecting him. But things happen.
Wow. That was one of the legendary years of all time because he won 27 games for a team that won 59.
59.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah, he won.
He won almost 50% of the games.
They say that if you lose 20 games, you're a darn good pitcher. Otherwise, you wouldn't get that many starts.
Geez, Wilbur Wood must be up there in the all-time greats.
I think he was 20-20 one year.
Phil Necro?
Yeah.
No, a few years. He lost 20. He'd go 24-20.
Yeah.
Because, with that rubber arm. Yeah. Too bad his knee wasn't
was also the last man to start both ends of a doubleheader.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he lost them both because that was the White Sox.
I think he lost them both, but
still did it.
That's one of your great trivia questions.
Big Don Newcomb tried it. He lost the second game, or got knocked out anyway.
Now, Fangraphics says the L.A. Dodgers are we're going to win their division by over 10 games.
Wood and Hill.
I can't believe Mad Bum got hurt from my beloved Giants.
Oh yeah.
Man, that's a bummer.
Well, we're talking about L.A. Dodgers first, then we can get to the Giants.
No, I think with Hill and Wood and their ace there, he's probably one of the best in baseball. They've got a good rotation, and they've got a good pen. They've got good hitting. Although they lost one guy for quite a while. He hurt his leg. The guy with all the hair and the beard and everything hit 320-something last year. Can't think of his name.
Oh, man. It's Justin Turner, right?
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, he is. That is quite a look he has, but he can mash.
Yes.
The Dodgers, they're solid. They're solid, and they're probably the best team in the National League. You have to say.
I would think so.
He won't be back till June, they say. Baumgartner. He's out till June.
Yeah, that'll hurt the Giants.
Oh yeah, they say
because they don't really have any ace. I mean, they've got to have a number one starter. Everybody does, but that Kansas City cast off, not a cast off. He signed as a free agent.
Even the 62 Mets had an ace, wasn't it? Roger Craig, who, speaking of 20-game losers.
I don't think the 62 Mets had any aces.
Wow, you said a number one starter.
Well, he might have been the number one starter.
But they did have Marv Throneberry.
Marvelous Marv.
Hey, we're still talking about Marv, aren't we?
Yeah, Stengel said if he threw his bat down, he would have missed the ground.
Hey, speaking of people with checkered records, you know, Dick Stewart was on the 1960 Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah,
Dr. Strangeglove himself.
yeah.
He set some type of record for like errors at first base, like 40 errors at first base.
Yeah, he
But he
was.
could hit
He
dingers.
was a strange glove.
He could hit dingers.
Yeah.
What was his?
He was the guy who when he was playing for the Sox, he picked up a hot dog wrapper that had flown on the field at Fenway and got a standing ovation.
That's right. But he also like hit 42 home runs for them. But he was such a bad.
Yeah.
How can you be a bad first base?
They didn't have a DH in those days.
Right.
That would have been his forte.
Because he didn't stay on the Red Sox very long because his glove.
Well,
And they
exactly.
were a god-awful team.
Exactly. They even had Cha-Cha
Yeah.
there for a while.
What was his outstanding achievement in baseball, professional baseball? Say that's the clue. Pro ball.
Stewart
Yeah, he's one of a handful of people who have
hit over
power hitting.
over 70 home runs in a season
No, he hit 66 in the minor league
in the minors. Okay.
in one season. I think only
Wow.
I think only 2 people have hit 70, and that's what was that guy from Texas? And
Oh,
of
I
course,
know,
Barry
he
Bonds.
went.
God, I used to know his name.
Joe Bowman.
Joe Bowman. He pumped gas in the day and hit dingers at night in the Class D, Texas League.
Right, and he had a ton of them.
72,
72.
because that was the record.
Okay, didn't he play for like El Paso or something like that?
Yeah, some Texas League.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
Jesus.
Joe Bauman.
Yeah, I can't remember because he used to have the record, the professional baseball record.
Right.
But
Now it's
Barry Bonds
Bonds.
took it away from him.
Yeah. Took it away from McGuire.
By the way, as you can see here, Whitey Ford, 1960, 12-9 with a 3.08 ERA.
And was
And,
it next year was he 20?
Next year he went 25-4, but that was an expansion year, 1961.
Yeah, it was.
And then he went 24-7 in 1963.
Yeah. And lost 2 games in the World Series. He lost the first and fourth.
So he could have lost the Pittsburgh games, if he had been a 24, if he had won 24 or 25 games, which you thought of.
He didn't give up a run to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yes, and the next year he beat Babe Ruth's record for
And
scoreless
the
innings pitched.
and the next year he didn't give a run to Cincinnati.
Well, we started out with a wonderful intro of if I'd played the entire thing about the winning team, it would have had his greatest moment in the, was it the 26th World Series? Grover Cleveland Alexander?
Yeah, when he struck out Lazari with the bases loaded.
And then somebody ended the World Series, wasn't he?
Yeah, Mr. Ruth.
Was he on the mound when Ruth
Yeah, because
Tried
he
to steal
finished the game.
second.
tried to steal second?
And he didn't slide because he didn't want to crush his cigars.
No, that's Jimmy Fox, and it was a pint of scotch in his back pocket. So you can't really say what's going to happen in a World Series.
No, you
in
never
baseball.
can. But you go with your ace. I'm sorry, Ford was the ace.
Well, he wasn't the ace that year.
Well, it wasn't. Certainly wasn't Art Ditmar or Bob Turley.
It was Bob Turley.
What was his record?
Isn't this exciting, folks? We're talking about the 1968. Well, at least we got you out of the 50s. When
No.
Peter came on, I said, Mr. Baseball's going to talk about the 51 and 53 World Series.
The Yankees won both of
Hey,
those.
listen, it's the 60 that really sticks in their craw, Even though they won 3 right afterwards, and Lord knows how many right beforehand, it's that heart crusher that you always remember.
It was Art Ditmar was the ace, 15-9, 306. So he beat Whitey in all categories. Yeah, including strikeouts. How many strikeouts do you think Whitey Ford had that year in 190 some odd innings?
He didn't. He was not a big strikeout man because he had 5 pitches, and you just never knew which one was coming. And he was when he was
had a
on
lusty 65
strike
Ks,
in how many innings?
192.2. So
Wow,
Well, Ditmar had 65.
That's unheard today. These guys.
And who was their ace reliever? The shortest man to ever win an MVP.
Shortest?
Harvey Haddix. No, wait.
Bobby Shantz.
Oh yeah, and he won the MVP in '52.
He was only 5'4".
Yeah, they took him out in that last game when the ball hit Kubek in the throat, and that's when the Yankees.
You mean Casey Stengel?
Casey Stengel took him out. I mean the Yankees, and that was the dumbest move I've ever seen in my
I thought
life.
the dumbest move was not pitching Whitey Ford in the
Well,
first
that's the
game.
number one all-time dumb move. But he induced a ground ball to short, which would have been a double play, except to hit a pebble.
And it would have been over.
Yeah, and he got Kubek in the throat. And then, well,
Is
I
that
got to
the
go.
one that Tony Kubek
Yeah.
sort of gagged on?
Yeah,
Like literally?
yeah. Then they brought in Ralph Terry, and we all know what he did in the ninth inning.
Ralph Terry, you mean Bill Mazeroski?
Well, the Yankees brought in Ralph Terry, and Brett Mazeroski took him deep in the bottom of the
You
ninth.
notice how he doesn't remember Maz, who that put him in the Hall of Fame eventually. It's all Yankee-centric. All Yankee-centric with you.
Well, they were the best.
You know what? I wish, Peter, that instead you could have had Popeye managing those Yankees teams. Good old Don Zimmer.
Oh, anybody could have managed
He would
them.
have found a way to lose it, believe me.
You and I could have.
Speaking of Roger Craig, we saw Popeye lose in the NL playoffs.
Yeah, for the Yankees.
That's
Roger
right.
Craig,
That was
San Francisco.
in '89.
Roger Craig was the
That
manager.
was when the Giants won for the first time in 27 years.
Right.
And the Popeye single-handedly killed the Cubs out here.
So, have you done any further research into your, I would say, rather outlandish prognostication that the Yankees are going to hit 400 home runs next year?
Where
Or
do
was it
you
300?
Where do you keep getting these numbers?
300. You
I
said
s-
they'd hit 300.
I said the 4 would hit 160, but now Bird
160. You had them over 200.
for the 4 guys.
What 4 of those?
Well, Sanchez, Bird, who's out now,
I don't remember Bird being
Judge
part of
and
the,
Stanton.
I thought Stanton and Judge were going to hit 200 themselves, and Sanchez would slide
200, 200 themselves.
200 each, you know?
I-
We can get up to 500 home
Hey,
runs.
Mr. Baseball, give him a slap.
Yeah, I think I need to.
These guys, you know, they're just going to. I bet that they each walk 300 times.
No, but
Who wants to throw a ball to a guy that's going to hit a home run, 100 home runs?
well, who wants to walk a guy to get to the next one that's going to hit a home run?
Walk him too.
Yeah, walk them both. That'll really.
Are they really talking about Aaron Judge leading off?
Yes, they are, and I don't like it. Stanton second, and then I forget who they.
Because,
Who,
Peter,
like,
as Bill James says, and these are managers that have never managed, you can put anybody anywhere. Babe Ruth could have been the lead off, and you could have put Lou Gehrig number 6, and it wouldn't make a damn bit of difference.
Yeah.
That's a Bill James truism.
I suppose, yeah.
I don't believe
But
it.
they got Gardner in the ninth slot, your second leadoff slot, as they like to call it. But the Yankee lineup scares me.
He might break Brady Anderson's leadoff home run record.
Yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
That could happen. Maybe.
Brady Anderson hit 50 dingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was juiced.
Frank Robinson never did that.
No, but
Harmon Killebrew never did that.
yeah, I don't think either one of them juiced
Hammer and
themselves.
Hank Aaron never did.
Yeah, Harmon Killebrew came close, 49, but those guys weren't juiced. I think Mr. Brady just might have had a little something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Go from
that's a possibility.
Yeah, he was goosed in the morning.
and think of the next year. What he hit 11 home runs,
He
something
hit
like
18 before, and yeah.
yeah, sandwiched that big year. That can happen though.
What's your projection with Sanchez? More pass balls than home runs?
Good.
Easily.
Good God, no. He
He's-
only had 13 pass balls last year.
How many errors?
I'm sure he had a couple of errors.
A couple, just a
Pass
couple.
balls hurt more than errors.
Just a couple.
Yeah. Just
Would
a few.
You want me to go,
He definitely led Major League Baseball in mound visits.
Yeah. Thank God they're cutting down on that this year. But,
Yeah, there goes Sanchez again. I'm like, oh my God! It was watching the Yankees last year. It was like it was pretty interminable. You know, it's just like Sanchez. It seemed like he would go out there just to ask the pitcher what the count was. You know,
yeah.
it was pretty exasperating.
I've got to believe that he worked on his catching skills during the winter. And maybe
Well, let's hope so, Mr. Baseball.
yeah, I definitely
13,
hope so.
13 errors.
That's 13 errors. How many? That include pass balls?
4 fielding and 9 throwing errors.
Oh, yeah, they throw it into center field.
Regular Johnny Bench there, huh?
Well, let's see. Bench is the greatest catcher in my mind of all time. But let's see what
I
Sanchez.
thought we'd agreed it was Rock Hudson.
Rock Hudson?
Isn't that what you said, Peter?
He was something.
I'm not going to comment on The Rock, because I just get in trouble.
Yeah, his husband wouldn't like that.
I think he's gone. Well, what can you say?
What can?
Wow.
So is any opening day is in 2 days?
Right.
Are we going to make any predictions besides the AL East? Or did we do that last week? I don't even remember.
Yeah, we did. We picked Cleveland and, of course, Houston. I think we picked the Dodgers and the Cubs somebody picked. I think that division's open. But the East, that is definitely an open division in the National League. I don't see anybody taking charge yet. The Mets, I don't believe the Mets are there. With all
Yeah,
Mets have some good players.
the Nationals are a team that seems like, if they win the division one year, they sure as heck aren't going to do it the next year, you know.
Right.
But then again, the rest of that division, the Mets are okay, but my God, the Phillies, Braves, and Marlins, yeah, they're one of the, those are 3 of the top tankers that I was talking about earlier.
Definitely the Marlins.
But the Mets have a shot.
Yes, they do.
If they can keep that staff healthy.
They picked up a couple of good guys over the winter, and they shored up their team a bit, so I think that they'll do well. I don't know if they'll win the division, but I think they'll do well. Atlanta seems to have a better pitching staff this year. See where that goes. And they've got some pretty decent
the
hitting.
Phillies signed Jake Arrieta, huh? That
Yes.
was kind of a surprise.
That shocked me. A 6-year deal, I believe.
Oh, by the way, Gary Sanchez had 16 pass balls to lead the AL and the Major League.
Okay, so
35 total errors and pass balls. How many dingers did he have? 28?
no, he had 35.
Oh, so
And
tied.
he missed a month.
Tied.
Or almost 6 weeks, actually. So let's
I
see.
don't think we have much time left, Mr. Baseman.
I don't think so either. These half hours go very quickly.
Yeah, because
There's a stat that I wonder if it's ever been reproduced, that players hit a dinger for each pass ball / error he's committed over a season.
He's a record setter, this Gary Sanchez.
Could be.
I'll just say this as before you wrap up. He did have, in the major leagues, he throws out a 38% rate. For both seasons he's been up, and the average is 28%. So he's got a strong arm. Mr. Baseball, thank you, Peter, but Mr. Baseball, take it away.
Peter, thank you for being on again. We'll talk to you in the near future. And
Anytime, Mr. Baseball.
thank you, sir. How many seconds do we have?
Wrap it up, kid.
Okay, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching.
And come by the North End Bistro.
Yeah, you come by the North End Bistro and treat yourself to a wonderful dining experience.
And try to stump
I
Mr.
promise.
Baseball.
And bring a baseball question.
Yes.
Yeah, what do you win if you do? You get free parking.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Senator Lou D'Alessandro, and I encourage everyone to listen to Matt Connerton, Unleashed, in the afternoon.